Hello, wellness students, and welcome to the first lecture on social wellness. We're officially kind of turning the page here at mid-semester, and for the final 7 to 8 weeks of this semester, we're going to be talking about what sometimes gets referred to as psychosocial aspects of health. Um, the way we approach it in the wellness class, though, is through the specific dimensions of wellness. For example, social wellness. That's what this section will cover, and we'll probably be taking a look at social wellness for the next 3 weeks or so. And then we move along to emotional wellness and end the semester with just a little bit on spiritual wellness. So that's where we're headed. Um, I really hope you guys enjoy this section on social wellness. It's generally the one that I look forward to the very most when we're able to meet face to face, in the classroom. I'm having to make some adjustments because we're now online, but what I'm hoping is that all of you will become a little more active in discussion. That will be an important part of this section is cultivating a bit more discussion online. Um, Please check out what your classmates are posting. Feel free to respond to their posts. Right now, given the situation of being online, that's about the best we can do to turn this into a more interactive section, which that's kind of how it's actually designed to be, is to be more so face to face and doing that. So, in this lecture, I've got just a brief introduction to social wellness, and then you're going to be doing an activity toward the end. You're going to use the results of that activity as part of your discussion post this week. So do be sure and watch this entire video and then go to the discussion forum, the post. Okay, basic tenets. And I don't know if you'll remember, but with each dimension of wellness, there are a couple of basic tenets or guidelines or philosophies, however you want to define this, that go with each dimension. And these come from the textbook that I once used for the class. They're also based on the work that the National Wellness Institute does. And the two tenets for social wellness are: it is better to contribute to the common welfare of our community than to only think of ourselves. And the second is: it is better to live in harmony with others and our environment than to live in conflict with them. So, just a couple of statements that declare basically what the beliefs are about this dimension of wellness. So, what is social wellness? And gosh, it's been a few years ago that I decided to just look around a lot online and in textbooks to see what the different perspectives were in terms of actually identifying what this particular dimension is all about. And there were a pretty good range of opinions about what social wellness actually includes. Now, what I choose to focus on in this class is this particular one in gold, um, the discovery of your power to make healthier choices when building friendships and relationships. So, what I almost solely focus on in this dimension is healthy and meaningful relationships, how to cultivate those, um, understanding connection needs, how to meet those connection needs. We talk a little bit about communication skills, and I also address the topic of loneliness. What I'll also be including, since we're online, is a bit on the impact of social media, um, and this question of whether or not social media and communication online can actually fill our needs for connection. So I really hope you guys enjoy this section. Okay, now because we're going to focus more so on just the relationship aspect of social wellness, there are a couple of slides here, and I believe there are 10 criteria that go with this phrase, a personal with optimal social wellness has the ability to. So the first five are, and you can just kind of ask yourself, do I have these characteristics? Do I have these abilities? So number one, am I able to communicate effectively with others? And that communication could be verbal, it could be speaking, um, it could be written communication. Do I have the ability to develop healthy and meaningful relationships? And we're going to be talking about, well, what constitutes a healthy relationship or a meaningful relationship? Do I have the ability to enjoy being with others? And this will look different for each of us depending on the degree to which maybe we're introverted versus extroverted. Um, Introverts and extroverts both enjoy being with others. It can look a little different in terms of how that plays out. Do I have the ability to establish a supportive social network? And I always look at this as being a real skill. Some of us are probably very good at this. We maybe experience that it's really easy to meet others. It's easy to branch out and find new friends. For maybe some of the rest of us, we might experience this as being a little more difficult or challenging. So, and we're actually going to be talking about that a bit today. Number five is, do I practice conflict resolution strategies? So, when there is a conflict or a disagreement in relationships, you could just think of it this way. Am I most concerned, or is my number one objective to attempt to resolve the conflict? Or am I maybe a bit more interested in winning or being right? So that's just a little bit on that. The other five that I've listed, do I have the ability to feel comfort or feel comfortable when interacting with others? Number seven is very related to that. If I feel comfortable, what that would mean is I can be genuine or authentic or just really be myself when I'm interacting with others. Am I able to demonstrate balanced concern for self and others? So, um, within the context of relationships, it's going to be important for me to remember to care for myself and to also have care and concern for others. Sometimes, I think some of us get a little out of balance in this area. Some of us may become much more concerned about others and kind of forget about ourselves, or it could be vice versa. Um, Number nine is, do I actually have this ability to maintain close relationships? How comfortable am I with intimacy, closeness? And, this also relates to how do I do that dance with vulnerability? Can I do that? Because it is scary. And I have a really cool TED talk that's related to this number nine. And number 10, a really important one. Do I have an understanding of what personal boundaries are? As an individual, do I set boundaries? Are they consistent? Are they clear? Do those boundaries actually demonstrate that I respect myself? And the flip side of it is, do I respect other people's boundaries? If someone says, I don't like that, do I respect that? Or do I just try to push through and do what I want anyway? So that's a little on boundaries. And we do talk about personal boundaries in this section, as well as something called codependency. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move into the activity. And what this activity is about is just looking to see if our connection needs are being met. And there's no real right or wrong to this activity. And and I guess, the nice part about this is you guys are all doing it alone at home. I'm assuming somewhat alone anyway. And so you can take the time that you need and just sit with yourself and really think about this. For this activity, you're going to need a couple of pieces of blank paper and a pencil, and maybe a tad bit of artistic ability. So feel free anytime you need to press pause on the video, and then just pick it back up and continue on. Okay, so with your blank piece of paper, the first thing that you'll need to do is draw 3 circles. And mine are colored just so that you could see them more clearly. But you're going to have this first circle. And by the way, this smiley face is supposed to represent you. And then you've got a second circle, and then the third one. And this activity is based on how much time you're spending with others. So what I'm asking you to do is simply write the initials of the people that you would say that you spend a lot of time with. And those people go in this innermost circle. Again, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad here. And it's just about also how you interpret a lot of time. And that's okay if we all have different interpretations. Those interpretations have to do with our needs. For example, I'm very introverted. And so a lot of time for me would be if I'm seeing someone a couple of times a week. And for some of you in class that may be more extroverted, you might be interpreting that as I see them on occasion. So go with your own definitions here. So inner circle is the initials of the people that you spend a lot of time with. The middle circle, the initials of the people you spend some time with. And the outer circle, people that you see just on occasion. And I usually have a couple of questions that come up with this part of the activity. One of the questions has to do with what about people I work with? And I usually tell students that if you actually consider them friends outside of work, include them in your circle. But if they aren't people you really connect with at all outside of work, you don't need to include them. In the work environment, we don't necessarily get to choose who we're spending time with, and that's the reasoning for that. I will always have students ask me if they can include a pet, and because I love animals, I'm going to tell you, sure, include your pet. My cat is always in the inner circle. So take some time and just determine, what initials would you be putting in these three circles. And feel free, pause the video right now if you need to. So, I wanted to show you, this is what your circle ultimately, it might look something like that. Of course, the initials are going to be different, the numbers and locations are going to be different, but just to give you a better idea of what I'm looking for. And I am calling this your circle of reality. This is the truth for you right now. And another thing I should probably mention is um, think about life in general. Right now, what's happening is probably not typical for any of us. We may not be connecting with others nearly as much as we generally do. Um, Also, it's possible that we're spending much more time with some people than we would normally spend. So think about your life kind of in general, what's more typical for you pre-social distancing. Yeah, if you need to make some adjustments, go ahead and do that and pause the video and then when you're ready, come back and we'll go to the second part of this. Okay, so go ahead and place that circle to the side. And with your second piece of paper, let's draw another series of circles again, the three that I talked to you about before. And this is your circle of desire. So this is how um, you truly want it to be. And again, these circles are based on time. So this is kind of cool. You're getting the opportunity to actually identify what people would you like to be spending a lot of time with? How many people would you like to be spending a lot of time with? Who are they? Put those initials in there. And then the middle circle, um, the people that you would like to be spending some time with. And outer circle, who would you like to be seeing on occasion? Now, there are a couple of options that you can use with this particular circle, the circle of desire. You can use a question mark. So, a question mark could be used, for example, in any of these circles, and what it indicates is I would like to have someone else in this spot, but I've just not met them yet. So, feel free to use a question mark. Also, the other option is called the boot. I want you to look back at your circle of reality and determine if any of the people in your circle of reality are people that you really don't want to invest any time with, but for some reason you are. And so with this circle, what I'd like you to do is put their initials completely outside to identify these are the people that I really don't want to spend time with, but for some reason I am. So, with regard to the boot, some students will ask, well, why would I want to boot someone if I'm spending time with them? And what sometimes happens, and I think this probably has happened to all of us, is, there are times maybe in our lives where we've continued to hang out with someone and we've known that ultimately they're not really very good for us, but we just haven't managed to disconnect yet. And so, that might be someone that you would then writing their initials, you might write their initials out here, you're giving them the boot. So I'll go ahead and show you an example of what this might look like. Um, this is something that I did, and my first circle, my circle of reality and my circle of desire had a lot of similarities, but there were also some differences. I added a question mark in mine. I when I added it because I think I would really like to have another person or another group of sorts to be involved with that I was seeing. For me, it says a lot of time, this inner circle. And for me, that would be, I'd like to have another group or another person that I'm hanging out with maybe once a week, something like that. um, I chose the option mark of a question. I chose the option of a question mark. um, I did not boot anyone. The people that were in my circle, um, I was okay keeping them all. I did include a person in my circle of desire that was not included in my circle of reality, but I included that person on the outer circle, someone that I, might like to see on occasion. But again, all of us, what we do with this, it's going to be about personal preference. It's really based in what will kind of meet your needs for connection, for friendship. Um, so it's going to look really different for all of us. I also wanted to tell you what I did with my circle, and it's related to some of the involvements I have. This RC right here actually stands for a group of people. It stands for Reef Check, my Reef Check friends. These friends I consider to be kind of in that realm of acquaintance to friends. There's a range, but I would like to be spending more time with my Reef Check people. And DB is actually Dive Buddies. So, but that's me. A lot of my social connections have to actually do with interests that I have and groups of people that are involved in those similar interests. So that was just something that I did. So, you may need to again pause the video. I'd like you to really think about this, do the very best job you can in creating this circle of desire, how you would really like your social connection, your social interaction to look. Who do you want it to be? How many people do you want to be, want to be represented in this circle? Um, and, the other thing that sometimes comes up with the circle of desire, even though it's what you want, I also want it to be realistic. Um, it's been some years ago. I had a student that I believe it was, I can't remember, I can't even remember if it was a male or female student, but they wanted to put their ex-boyfriend or girlfriend back in the circle, in the circle where they were going to be spending a lot of time with them, but their partner had made it very clear that they weren't interested anymore in the relationship. So, with this circle of desire, we want it to be healthy for ourselves. And so, if someone has, said, hey, I don't want to spend time with you anymore, please don't put them back in the circle, with your circle of desire. So, okay. So, when you finish that, um, here are a couple of things I'd like you to think about, and this is going to get you set up to participate in the discussion this week. I'd like you to think, well, what did I learn about myself as a result of doing this activity? And, I've listed some things that I felt like I had learned about myself. I'm moving into a different time of my life with retirement. Retirement's a big change. The amount of contact I have is going to definitely be changing. And, I was kind of thinking in that direction. Actually, when I set up my circle of desire, I was thinking more about retirement. And, some things that I learned, and this was almost kind of weird for me to admit, being, a stronger introvert and a person who really needs downtime and private time. But, I'd like to connect with friends more frequently. You know, what I have had is probably not going to be meeting my social needs or my social connection needs when I retire. I'm not going to be spending all those hours at work. Okay. I also learned I'd like to make a new friend or become a part of another group. Okay. And the third thing that, I've known this, but it was really reinforced for me when I did this activity is that the individuals that I currently have in my circle, they offer me a variety of different things. No one person meets all of my connection needs. So there's nobody in my circle that's the whole pie. I have people that they offer different things. I have some friends in that circle that are incredible listeners. Other friends in the circle who really aren't very good at listening. So, no one person's doing it all. They kind of they're there meeting various types of connection and people needs. So, what did you perhaps learn by doing this? And then a final question to reflect on before you go to discussion is what action, and I'll see if I can remove that. There we go. What action could you take to move towards meeting your connection needs? So if you made some adjustments with your circle of desire, if those two circles don't exactly look the same, what could you actually start doing to move more toward what it is that you truly want or what it is that you truly need? So, this is a really good one to think about. I've decided that I need to, when this semester ends, I really need to get over to the tennis center and start checking out pickleball through that interest and activity that I have, becoming involved in pickleball leagues. Oh my gosh, I'm going to meet a lot of people. And it's an activity that I'm hoping anyway that I'll really enjoy. So I hope this activity did make you think about just this first little piece of, are my connection needs getting met? What do I really want? And how can I maybe work towards making that happen? I also, one final thing I wanted to include a bit of a plug for the other things that are in this particular page of the module. There's a video that is a TED Talk. I think it's about 12 minutes long, and it's really cool. It's about this one kind of project that this person did for a year. And I thought it was a really cool little story, and it might be inspirational to some of you. And then I've linked an article, and I think it's entitled Making Good Friends. And that article is really good. It lists a lot of suggestions on how to meet people, how to better connect with people. So I hope you enjoy this kind of this introduction to social wellness this week. And I look forward to connecting with all of you next week. And I'll do my best to get some fun stuff into next week's module. All right. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.